Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. Let me just put on my mic before we start our live stream because I know this live stream is going to be a very educational one because this live stream is actually talking about topics that is an intersection between my livelihood as a fashion educator and with my passion with pageantry. So may magandang, may magandang connect yung dalawang passions ko na ito with regards to our live stream this evening. And I know that this is going to be more of a fashion live stream rather than a pageant related live stream. It just so happened that two of the people that we're going to be discussing is from pageants. And what we're going to do for this evening is that we're going to dissect and analyze yung mga brands or yung mga personal brands nina Heart, nina Pia, and nina Cat. So, welcome everyone to our live stream this evening. This is going to be a very interesting topic because a lot of us are not necessarily very much open into the fashion industry and what goes on behind the scenes. Now, with my experience having been a graduate of the clothing technology program of the University of the Philippines, as well as studying, taking further studies on marketing and strategic strategic marketing management with the UPISSI, and I also took a certificate in fashion and luxury company management from the University of Bocconi in Italy, which is a university based in Italy. I think I have a better perspective on what's going on with this discussion. And I think that there's going to be a lot of things that you might encounter for the first time as I will be talking about certain themes and topics within the fashion industry that is not necessarily a open secret an open knowledge to all. So ayun. Let's begin first with the kamustahan. Mark Gonzalez is here. Sabi niya, good evening, Sir Jason and Castritters. Interesting ang topic tonight. I agree. So, I know that this is not necessarily the first topic where we discuss fashion, but this is the first time that we are going to be discussing influencer culture. And I do hope that for everyone who is now here in our live stream, who is also new to the channel, please do subscribe to our channel and leave a thumbs up in our live stream discussion this evening so that the algorithm will be a friend to us after this episode is done, and it will push our content to more viewers and more potential scripters in this platform. Okay? So, Ben Hernandez is here. Sabi niya, good evening, Sir Jess, watching live from Marikina. Hello, good evening. I do hope na everyone is in a relaxed mode because what we will be talking about is a very interesting topic in the sense that we are going to delve into what goes behind, the fashion industry that you're not pretty much well aware of. And when we are going to be talking about fashion influencers, and we're going talking about their brandings and their personal branding and their careers as fashion influencers, we need first to give a context kung saan nanggagaling yung conversation natin. Dahil hindi pwedeng laktawin kaagad natin yung topic on the fashion influencer careers of Heart, Cat, and Pia without understanding the fashion industry and without me giving you, context muna doon sa ano ba ang nangyayari sa fashion industry, why is it that the luxury fashion game is very exclusive and very tight in terms of yung mga connections, and bakit hindi siya inclusive. Okay? Because as you know, the fashion industry is not as inclusive as the pageant industry. And there is this kind of sense ng otherism or othering ng fashion industry versus the people who are in pageantry. And despite, certain overlaps with the people who play a part in the fashion and in the pageantry industry, there is, a common, common knowledge within the industry practitioners themselves that medyo ilang ang alta moda sa pageants. And I will be explaining, that a little bit later on. Okay, so as I've said, being someone, in the retail industry, someone who has studied, someone who has lived, and now who teaches fashion, I think I'm in a good position, in a better position to explain the industry and how fashion is not as as welcoming as the pageant industry. If in the pageants, we are becoming more inclusive with, body shapes, with the demolition of heights in several local and international pageants. We've seen, more diversity in figures, in heights, in skin tone, in thought, and in ethnicity in pageants, as well as we've seen, mothers, wedded women, women who are in their senior age, now being welcomed into the pageantry industry. The fashion industry, especially with luxury fashion brands, has people who have been gatekeeping yung tawag nito yung mga luxury brands na ito when it comes to consumption. And I think there is a need for us to understand what is fashion and luxury, and what are the different tiers within the fashion industry, so that we understand that the fashion industry is not just the luxury brands alone. Okay? So, first of all, we have to understand that the fashion industry is a $1 trillion industry. And the luxury market comprises of around 397 billion in terms of its value as an industry a whole. And ito, yung luxury segment pa lang ng fashion industry. Hindi pa kasama dito yung mass market and yung lower tiers ng ng fashion industry as a whole. So, ibig sabihin nito, on top of the luxury industry, on top of the luxury na mga brands, we have the traditional na haute couture and pret-a-porter na mga luxury brands that includes the very, well-known mga names like Dior, like Chanel, Versace, Hermes, we have Louis Vuitton, we have Armani, we have what to say this, we have doon naman din sa mga lesser known na mga brands, we have Loro Piana, Hermenegildo Zegna, we have Bottega Veneta, we have Loewe, and much more. So those are, at the top of the fashion pyramid. They comprise maybe of the pinaka 10% or even 1% of the most wealthy na mga tao sa buong mundo. These are the people that, can buy $120 na fully beaded na wedding dress. And that would be, I don't know, maybe around 13 million here in the Philippines in terms of yung value ng isang damit lang. And this is, the pinaka topmost na segment of the entire fashion industry. So, on top of the pyramid, we have the luxury na segment, and then followed by the tier of the it's not mid-market, it's the mass stage, the mass prestige na mga brands, which is the bridge between the luxury versus the mid-market. And of course, at the bottom rung of the entire pyramid is the mass market, value market na fashion. In terms of brands, when we say luxury na fashion brands, we're talking about Armani Privé, which is essentially the haute couture arm of the Armani empire. And then on the pret-a-porter na side, we have the Giorgio Armani or the Emporio Armani na mga brands. And then lower doon sa masstige na brand is we have the Armani Exchange or the Armani Jeans na mga brands. And then when we go to the mass markets, that is where we find the Zara's, the Marks and Spencer's, and the Inditex, majority of the Inditex brands that we know of. And then, of course, we also have at the lower level the department store brands, the local brands that have, a limited number of boutiques at the bottom. And then, of course, we have the thrifting markets, yung mga ukay-ukay, yung mga Salvation Army at the value market na level. So, in terms of the industry as a whole, napakalaking industry ng fashion industry. And the topmost na portion of the entire fashion industry is only comprising of around 10% of the entire total na kabuuan ng fashion and retail na industry. So that means that napakaliit ng populasyon ng mga brands that belong into the top tier na luxury fashion market. But how do we define luxury? Now, luxury, based on its etymology, yung root word ng luxury comes from the Latin word lux. And lux can be interpreted into two ways. The first one is light or brilliance. And the second meaning can mean excess or extravagant. So when you took this into context, when you say luxury, we usually think of merchandise or products that are, extravagant and brilliant in nature, excessive in nature. And this is the reason why when we talk about luxury brands, there are certain, mga parameters, or there are certain luxury pillars or luxury business pillars that helps us define what makes it into the list of what is a luxury brand. And the first on that list is, of course, luxury brands or any brand that belongs to the luxury segment of the fashion industry has to fulfill the need to have an exclusive or an aspirational lifestyle. It means na kinakailangan ito yung type of lifestyle that we all want to be part of. That is, one of the main pillars of the fashion business. The second one is that products within the luxury market needs to be timeless, meaning it does not go out of trend. It does not. It's not something that uso siya ngayon, next time hindi na. There has to be some sort of classic na element into the design or into the way that the item is created in order for it to become timeless. The third one, is it has to have high value, meaning the cost to enter or the cost to purchase, the cost to acquire a fashion luxury item needs to be high because luxury is not for everyone. That is, I think, one of the most shocking things that I need to break into every time that I talk about luxury, because fashion may be for everyone, but not luxury. Kasi ang luxury ng mga fashion brands has to maintain a certain exclusivity. If I am someone who is going to buy a 125 to 130,000 US dollars na merchandise or na dress, I would expect that I am the only one who's going to purchase or who's going to have that item. Hindi pwedeng pupunta ako ng party, may kapareho ako na damit na binili ko at that high cost. If I am paying 13 million pesos for a garment that is supposed to be exclusive, then I would, expect a certain level of exclusivity because I paid that much. And I know that you might be surprised, bakit 13 million? That's because the price point of a couture dress, sabihin natin, haute couture, made to measure, ibig sabihin pasadya. Ibig sabihin, kinuha yung body measurements mo. Ibig sabihin, ginawa siya exclusively para sa'yo. Ibig sabihin nito, they are going to cut the fabric from scratch until mabuo nila yung buong disenyo. Back in around the 2000s, and these are not within the 2010s na prices ng couture. Back in the 2000s, the average cost of a made-to-measure na, let's say, jacket for an haute couture na brand would retail at about 3,000 to 6,000 US dollars. And the cost of an haute couture na fully beaded na gown would probably net you at around 125 to 150,000 US dollars. So ganun ka expensive ang isang haute couture na piece. And this is part of the luxury segment of the entire fashion industry. Now, when we talk about luxury, especially at the context of the fashion industry, haute couture is one of the main segments with pret-a-porter. Ano yung difference nun? You can have a luxury business, like for example, like Dior, Chanel, and Armani, and also Versace, that has a pret-a-porter line and a haute couture atelier. Ibig sabihin nito, there is a made-to-measure na business, as well as there is a business that caters to ready-to-make clothes. They might not be the same in terms of yung level of intricacy of the design. However, they both cater to the luxury segment of the entire market. This means that these two are both part of the luxury segment of the market. And part of the entire luxury na segment are your typical na mga high-end na mga jewelry brands like Bulgari. And you also have mga high-end na mga watchmakers like Philip Stein. And we also have several other leather goods that are considered to be part of the luxury market, like the Birkins of Hermes. So, ibig sabihin nito, when you talk about luxury na as a whole, it can encompass both clothing, it can encompass both accessories, as well as as well as ready to wear na mga garments. Okay? So ayan. And the fourth pillar of the entire haute couture na segment is that it needs to be aesthetically driven and design driven. So the technologies on the process in the creation of either your luxury watches and your haute couture na mga pieces are something that is very artisanal or very handmade in nature in order for it in order for the haute couture business to quantify the exorbitant prices of these luxury pieces. Now, when we talk about haute couture, especially during the Paris and the haute couture fashion week that is usually done during January and around June or July of the year, this is primarily to attract merchandising opportunities, marketing opportunities for the brand. Because haute couture as a whole is a business that nets negative. Ibig sabihin nito, hindi lahat ng mga brands that have an haute couture business kumikita. In fact, there was a study that said that the only couture business, haute couture business, that is making money out of its haute couture shows and its haute couture na tawag ito na atelier is actually Chanel. And all the other, mga brands, palugi yung haute couture na business nila. However, the haute couture fashion shows is a very important, marketing ploy for people to get interest into the RTW and into the accessory line and perfumes and cosmetics lines of these individual brands. So ang nangyayari nito, ang haute couture na fashion week that happens usually during the January and July na mga months in Paris. Ito ay mga opportunities for fashion brands to create internet buzz, to create marketing buzz in terms of their shows, because the haute couture shows would feed into the desire or the creation of desire for people to buy more accessible na mga products within the haute couture na within the luxury na brands. Kasi kung hindi mo man ma-afford, ang sabihin natin bumili ng isang 50,000 na outfit from Dior or Chanel, you can buy accessories or perfumes or cosmetics ng Dior and Chanel that would easily be within your budget. For example, I cannot afford a Dior Homme na suit. However, I can afford to buy Dior na sunglasses, Prada na eyeglasses, even a Dolce and Gabbana na eyewear. I can also afford to buy, a 5,000 peso or a 2,000 peso worth na perfume ng Dior, ng Chanel, or ng Dolce and Gabbana. So what happens here is that haute couture fuels in the desire to buy merchandise for the brand by having other accessible na mga products for the general masses. Now, dito pumapasok ngayon yung exclusivity ng mga pwedeng manood ng mga haute couture na shows at Paris. And I think this is where the entire, entire headache or the entire issue with regards to the invitations, the glam team of the people involved doon sa nangyayari ngayon with Heart and Pia's glam team. Okay? So I think it's very important to understand that if you don't have an invite, you cannot necessarily immediately come into a show, because these are very exclusive na mga invites, and they do not just hand out invites like, it's a free-for-all thing. Dahil if there's one thing that you should learn about haute couture, everything is exclusive there. Because even if you wanted to buy, like for example, you wanted to buy a haute couture piece from Chanel, hindi ka basta-basta pwedeng pumunta sa Rue de Cambon and then expect that i-cater ka nila doon sa mga haute couture pieces nila on display in the second or third floors of their main building there. You need to have a appointment for you to buy a haute couture piece. So before you are even given access to the building, kinakailangan meron kang appointment with the haute couture vendors and premier of the haute couture na brand that you want to buy before they even entertain you. Kasi ang bumibili ng haute couture all over the world is a very small group of people. In fact, in the 2000s, again, they were estimated that the people who can actually afford to buy haute couture dresses and outfits is within the numbers of around 200 to 400 women only. So ganun kaliit yung population ng mga people who are able to afford, haute couture pieces. And dito pumapasok yung naging problema ni na Heart noong nakaraang taon with regards to Fashion Week. And I'm not gonna hash out with what happened in that Fashion Week because I think everything that you need to learn or to know has already been discussed by Heart in her latest YouTube vlog, which is approximately an hour long na vlog where she explained the dynamics of what happened. So if you want to discuss, to learn more of what happened, I think you probably need to watch that first, or even watch yung kanyang interview doon sa Mega Magazine na YouTube channel. So what we're going to do here is to unpack yung mga individual na mga fashion careers ng tatlong fashion influencers na sina Pia, sina Catriona, and sina Heart, and how effective they are in terms of yung kanilang fashion influencing na career. Okay? So before we go and delve into that, ano muna tayo? Commercial break muna tayo. I want to meet some of the people who are in this live stream. So Art Laurent is here. Sabi niya, Catriona looks very expensive and elegant compared to the two. Pretty at sexy naman sila Heart at Pia, pero iba talaga si Kat. Kiisa says Heart is the typical rich girl influencer. Kiisa says si Kat, the Heart beyond fashion influencer. Filet Omis says Heart started it all. Aleni Ramos says it's Heart. Patricia G says Heart and Kat. Okay, Jam Amihan says, can Heart Evangelista be considered as the Paris Hilton of the Philippines since may similarity ang industry ng family nila, which is hotel and food, at pareho din silang trendsetter, or mas angat si Heart? We will try to tackle that a little bit later on in the origins of Heart and her fashion influencer career a little bit later, okay? Joey Nia says, I think Catriona is low-key, on the low-key side. Base on her post, brands would get her to grace their event not just as a celebrity, but as a host or guest performer. Okay, guys, I posted a poll at the start of our live stream, and I asked everyone, who is your favorite fashion influencer among the three ladies that I mentioned. We have Heart Evangelista, we have Catriona Gray, and we have Pia Wurtzbach. And currently, we have Heart leading with 58% of the votes, Catriona with 27%, and Pia at 15%. Okay, I think it's very interesting that to tackle yung dynamics ng mga careers nitong tatlong ito, because I think we cannot talk about fashion influencers here in the Philippines without starting with Heart Evangelista. Okay, so we all know that Heart is essentially the first, fashion influencer in the Philippines. I think you cannot start a conversation about fashion influencer and fashion influencer culture without starting first with Heart, because I think beyond everything else that has been discussed, that has been talked about, it was Heart who essentially started the ball game on the fashion influencer na game. Hindi mo maaalis sa conversation si Heart simply because she was the first among all Filipino fashion influencers that really cemented her role at the Fashion Week in Paris and in Milan. Now, she started off, of course, as an actress. However, after after years as an actress, she started diverting her energies towards arts and fashion. She started first as a painter. There was a time that I think in the starting at the mid 2000s to the late 2000s, inumpisahan ni Heart yung mag-paint. And there was a point wherein she started painting on her Hermes na mga bags. And this got the attention, the PR of Hermes, who is based in Paris. And dahil, of course, things get viral on social media when Heart started, painting, mga paintings niya doon sa mga Hermes na mga bags. Unti-unti itong naging viral. So it was shared in the internet sphere, and that, that has, gotten the interest of the PR ng Hermes. And doon nag-umpisa yung fashion influencer career ni Heart. And because she was the first one, of course, to be invited na mag-cover, pumunta ng mga fashion weeks in Paris and Milan, that actually became, the industry playbook on how to get, fashion influencing jobs. And I think dahil siya yung una at siya yung pioneer ng ganitong career, everybody is looking up to her as the first one and therefore don't want to emulate. So, going back doon sa kwento na it was actually a PR from Hermes who found, who invited her to have to meet up in Paris. She started, of course, but back then, may asawa na siya. She's married to, of course, to Cheese, and she started her journey there. And with the industry kasi, it's a very small industry, very tight-knit yung fashion industry, that if you get your foot on the door, hindi tawag ito, hindi kalaunan, mahihirapan ka to get the other feet inside the door, because people tend to whisper, people tend to talk about fashion, especially if you are the newest it girl. And I think Heart was able to cement herself as the it girl from the Philippines throughout several years of being involved in the fashion game. So and the beauty of that as well is that Heart is not only a fashion influencer, but she also moves merchandise. And I think that is a very important and a very potent, tool to have, because during the mega na interview with Heart that was released, earlier this January, or was it February na? I'm not sure. It was mentioned there that itong si Heart, kapag meron siyang binili at isinuot during the fashion week, that item tends to get sold out. Whether it's a Boucheron ring from Bulgari or a YSL limited edition na sunglasses, she tends to move merchandise. And of course, if I am a brand, and I know that there is this one influencer here that kapag nagsuot siya ng any item, any accessory, that item gets sold out, I will want to get her to represent my brand. And that is where Heart, really cemented and really placed herself as the it girl when it comes to fashion influencers here in the Philippines. So, hindi nakakapagtaka na she's able to, to travel to different countries, not only in France and Italy, but also to Hong Kong, to Singapore for engagements with new store openings. And in fact, just recently, lumabas yung kanyang, yung kanyang involvement with the new Fendi store in Malaysia, together with Lee Min Ho. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, among the Asian stars, Heart is one of those celebrities na pwede mong ihilera sa mga world-renowned na mga celebrities all over, when it comes to the fashion industry, especially with, luxury brands. So, yung nangyari sa kanya na hindi siya allegedly pinapasok sa Dior because there was someone who allegedly said that she's not coming, and then let's put in this other celebrity for this show. Tapos nung dumating si Heart allegedly doon sa fashion show, biglang hindi siya pinapasok dahil meron daw pinapasok as her representative and whatnot. Doon nagkaroon ng gulo doon sa fashion influencer na career niya. And this is, this also fueled a lot of rumors with regards to her glam team, and this is where it got us here. Dahil ngayon, ang pinag-uusapan natin is how effective it really is Heart when it comes to being an influencer. The mere fact that brands acknowledges that when Heart posts on about an accessory or an outfit or a piece of clothing from other brands at nagmo-move. Ibig sabihin, gumagalaw, nagkakaroon ng sales na katapat yung mga brands na ito when they see it on Heart. It automatically tells us na effective si Heart as a fashion influencer. Because if I am a brand, more than marketing reach, I would prefer, the bottom line sales na mangyari compared to just mere social media buzz. And I think dito nagkakaiba yung careers ni Heart and ni Pia. Okay? I think when it comes to the market that Heart caters, she really caters to the AB market, to the people who can actually afford to buy luxury good items, people who can afford to splurge on luxury goods, because luxury by its definition is not a need but rather a want. The difference with that is that kailangan mong uminom ng tubig, kailangan mo ng air para huminga, but luxury items is not part of the necessity in life. It helps, to bolster your image. It helps to build confidence, but it does not necessarily mean that you cannot live without a luxury item with you. And this is where Heart really comes as an effective influencer, because not only does she cater to the AB market, but she is in herself a luxury goods consumer, and therefore she is influencing the people within her circle. And this is why in terms of effectivity as a influencer, Heart is nangunguna siya sa listahan. She is at the top of her game because when you are the market, you can afford to buy these products, and you are believable when you buy these products and tell your followers that this is the next it bag kapag nakita sa'yo. And this is why when it comes to fashion influencing, hindi mo maaalis si Heart doon sa usapan. You cannot remove luxury brand fashion from Heart because she is the market of luxury goods. So that is what makes her an effective na influencer. Now, pumapasok ngayon yung conversation around Pia because she comes from pageantry. And when you come from pageantry, there is a certain, looking down upon by alta moda, by high fashion when it comes to people who comes from the pageant industry. And this is the reason why if you are a viewer before of the America's Next Top Model, always parating sinasabi tama nito sinasabi ng mga hosts, whether it's Tyra, whether it's the ANTM na versions in Canada or in Asia, parating sinasabi na don't go pageant, okay, mababa yung tingin ng mga high fashion na mga tao when it comes to pageantry. And that has not changed drastically over the years, I believe. There is still a sort of high fashion gatekeeping that happens. I know it's unfair, but it's the reality of life. And the problem with, the problem when you come from pageantry is that there are certain barriers when it comes to having yourself moved into the sphere of the luxury brands and the fashion influencing na mga spheres. And this is where Pia needs to recalculate, needs to rethink her position because based on my study on yung profile ni Pia as as an influencer, she is much more effective in the endorsement of FMCGs. FMCGs, if for those who are unaware, is fast-moving retail goods or fast-moving consumer goods. And this is where I think Pia has her foothold in the entire industry. And this is primarily, the CDE na mga markets. While yung market ni Heart is more of the AB, yung market na nagfa-follow kay Pia is more on the CDE or the how to say this, middle class and lower class na mga markets. I'm not saying that na mas mababa yung kay Pia. No, because the FMCG na market is a billion-dollar industry in itself. The differences is it's just the AB market is a very small limited na clientele. They so ang comparison nito is that they are of equal value except that quantity wise mas maliit yung AB na market, but it can buy massive quantities or massive na expensive na mga items. Samantalang ang CDE na market, marami ang mga tao, marami ang population na tina-target ng na nakakapaloob doon sa CDE na market, but in terms of value of their purchase, mas mababa ng di hamak as compared to the AB market. So both have in terms of value, parehong mabigat yung kaya nilang dalhin. But it just so happened that Pia's market is the CDE market, and this also reflected in the buzz around her Paris Fashion Week last year dahil there were studies that showed that around 12 million US dollar yung value of social media reach and social media buzz that Pia's attendance of the Paris Fashion Week last year yung katumbas. However, as for the value on the merchandise na gumalaw, we are not sure if ganun ba kalaki din yung value na yon. And this is where there is a disparity between the market that follows Pia versus the luxury goods na industry na gusto niyang i-penetrate. I think there is a difficult na seesawing, na balancing whether or not she is an effective na influencer for luxury goods because I don't think she is the market. Okay? So hindi ko nakikitaan ng apple to apple na comparison yung tawag nito yung marketing value na ibinigay na dinala ni Pia versus the fact that when it's Heart's turn at posting anything that she posts on na mga products, gumagalaw yung merchandise, meaning na nabebenta yung merchandise. So, because there is a disparity, tulad ng sinabi ko, doon sa mga nagfa-follow kay Pia, they are not necessarily the people who will buy luxury good items. So that is the conundrum with Pia trying to be a fashion influencer at the sphere of the luxury goods na market. I think I don't know if Pia will be hearing this, but I think what Pia can do is to re-strategize her personal brand and start with cosmetics. I think nandun yung opportunity for her to start with, to start her career as a fashion influencer dahil alam mo naman natin na nung panahon na nagko-compete si Pia sa mga pageants, she is very open in saying that, she loves makeup and that she would buy really expensive na mga Chanel and na mga Dior na mga brands ng makeup because these are things that brings her joy. And I think if she re-strategize her career and pivot towards catering the catering towards the cosmetics, luxury cosmetics, for example, na area of the fashion industry, I think she will be more effective in that. Remember, for a time being, si Pia yung mukha ng Deviant na cosmetics, which was founded by Albert Corniawan. So I think may possibility that she will be able to be more successful if she starts her career as a fashion influencer with cosmetics first. Dahil I don't think na she will be an effective, fashion influencer kapag luxury goods yung direction niya. Again, as I said, Pia is not the luxury goods market. I don't think that she buys on a regular basis, Schiaparelli, Prada, or Hermes na mga outfits, or I'm not even sure if she has a Birkin na bag. So if you are a fashion influencer and you want to to be an effective one, especially for the luxury goods market, you need to be able to own those expensive na mga luxury goods yourself. And that is why dito effective si Heart because one, she owns her own Bulgari serpentine necklace. And the one that she owns retails at around 7.4 million pesos. So imagine that she is able to buy her own Bulgari na necklace, the Bulgari serpentine necklace. If you look at the thumbnail that I used for this live stream, she's actually wearing the 4.3 million na version ng Bulgari serpentina necklace. That's not the full diamond set na Bulgari serpentina necklace that retails at around 7.8 million or 7.4 million. So, yung suot-suot ni Heart doon sa thumbnail ng live stream na ito, that is the rose gold na version, which I think retails only at around 4.3 million. The other celebrity that I know who owns a Bulgari rose gold na serpentine necklace is Marian Rivera. So, if you want to become, an influencer, especially for the luxury goods na segment of the market, you have to be able to be effective and convincing that you are the market, and that is what Heart is. That is why, she is very effective as such. Now, dito ngayon pumapasok yung strategy ni Catriona when it comes to fashion influencing, because the difference between Catriona and Pia when it comes to their strategies for fashion influencing is that Catriona is not a copycat of Heart's strategies when it comes to the start of her fashion influencer career. The problem with Pia is that nakapattern masyado yung kanyang strategy doon sa nagawa na ni Heart. So there is like a comparison ngayon na Pia is like a copycat of the strategies na ginawa na ni Heart. I think Pia, as I said, would be best if she starts her, her career as a fashion influencer with cosmetics dahil hindi pa ganun ka taken yung luxury end ng cosmetics dito sa Pilipinas, unlike the market that Heart already has with accessories and clothing and apparel. Accessories and apparel on the luxury segment. The beauty with Catriona is that because she is relatively new doon sa fashion influencer na game, she is very strategic in the way that she plays it. And it's not a copycat of what Pia did or what Heart did in their careers, but rather she started with with defining her personal brand as something that is accessible luxury. And this is why, if you look at the brands that she posts on her social media, it's Bulgari, it's Tiffany & Co., it's H&M, and of course, Dior Beauty. So, hindi nagkakaroon ng overlap, hindi nagkakaroon ng, kumbaga, ng conflict with those of Heart dahil they go side by side. While Heart focuses on apparel and accessories, si Catriona, she focuses on beauty with Dior, with jewelry with Bulgari, with I think it's kasama din doon yung Tiffany & Co. Doon sa jewelry na mga brands and apparel, but on the H&M side. So when it comes to yung apparel ni Catriona versus yung apparel ni Heart, luxury end yung kay Heart, samantalang accessible yung kay Cap. And H&M is not too far off with luxury itself dahil H&M, if you're familiar with the brand, has standing mga relationships and partnerships with the likes of Albert Elbaz of Lanvin in the around 10 years back. They started yung H&M X designer brand with Karl Lagerfeld. They had a collaboration with Balmain. It was designed by Olivier Roustan of Balmain, but these were merchandise that were sold on H&M na mga stores. And I remember that when the H&M X Balmain was released in Jakarta, nag-open ang mall ng alas 10, by 11 o'clock sold out na yung buong collection. So there's nothing there that you can actually buy anymore because it has all been sold out. And the only thing that you will see after that is the windows, and they don't sell what's on the window. So ganun na lang ganun na lang kalaki yung mga designer collaborations na ito ng H&M with well-known na mga designers, and they merchandise it in their stores. That's why hindi nalalayo dun sa image na pinoproject ni Catriona yung accessible luxury, because H&M is also able to have collaborative mga collections with designers like Albert Elbaz, Olivier Roustan, Stella McCartney. They also had a collaboration with Kenzo and several other highly important na mga names in the fashion industry. So this is where where I commend yung strategic na thinking ni Catriona, because her market is a little bit of A but mostly B and C. So for those na mga tao na that cannot afford to buy Dior bags, Dior apparel, they can buy Dior accessories, they can buy Dior perfumes, they can buy Dior cosmetics because Kat essentially endorses Dior Beauty. So hindi nagkakaroon ng overlap with those of Heart. In fact, they go side by side. That is why in the recent na Dior event, you can see Isa Calzado there with Heart, with Catriona, and with Liza Soberano. So this is where, maganda yung symbiosis ng tawag ito ng fashion influencer careers ni Heart at ni Catriona. They don't compete, and knowing how Heart has been very open with yung fashion is not supposed to be a competition. This is I think the best illustration for that dahil maganda yung may harmony, very harmonious yung kanilang mga personal brands that they don't clash with each other. And I think this is where things needs to be said that if you want to go inside and into the fashion influencing the game, you have to first define what is your personal style, what is your personal brand, and what is your core value when it comes to fashion. Dahil these things would be your compass to your true north. So when you are going to take mga fashion risks, dito ka bumabalik, dito sa tatlo. Kung ano yung personal brand mo, kung ano yung core value mo, kung ano yung personal style mo. Because people will be confused if you don't stick to your own personal style. Kung pabago-bago yung personal style mo at walang masabing this is the concrete na image that you are projecting, that you are showing people, then it will be difficult for them to follow you because they don't know who you are. Unlike with Heart, you know that she is luxury. And that is, that is the reason why when it comes to the conversation of fashion influencing, she is actually the best example to use in terms of knowing what's her personal style, what's her personal brand, because she communicates that well. Kaya kahit na makitaan mo si Heart na nakasando lang, pero ang suot-suot niya is the diamond encrusted na Bulgari serpentine na mga bracelet, alam mong hindi nalalayo doon sa kanyang personal brand, which is luxury goods. So, ito dapat yung tinitignan ng team ni Pia when it comes to developing her own brand, because she needs to go back to the drawing board, because when you talk about Pia, ang personal brand niya is Pageantry, and that is so far off with the high fashion na tawag ito, high fashion na market that she's trying to cater on if she wants to become an influencer or she wants to become a fashion influencer. So she needs to understand what is personal brand first, and develop that and start communicating that in her social media, in the way that she dresses up on a regular basis and posts on social media, para hindi siya magmukhang off-brand parate. When you look at Pia, you will always associate her with her career as Miss Universe, her career with pageantry, and she needs to break through that, because in order for her to become a effective na fashion influencer, she needs to shake out and shake off yung association niya with pageantry, at hindi yung the only time that people remember her is when they remember that, oh, she is a beauty queen. So that is something that is no longer a problem with Heart, because nowadays, if you think and ask people about Heart, they will rarely remember that at once upon a time she was an actress. Ngayon, mas malaki na yung nakakaalala sa kanya as a fashion influencer as opposed to she used to be an actress. Okay? So I think in terms of the entire dynamics of the three, the better relationship is that of the Catriona and Heart. Dahil yung mga brands nila hindi nagka-clash, and therefore if I am, for example, I am the head of Dior, I can have Heart as my ambassadress for accessories and apparel, and then I have Catriona for cosmetics and beauty, and that is a very good symbiotic na relationship, because when you now look at yung tawag nito, yung fashion influencing career and yung mga posts ni Catriona on her social media na mga feeds, you would see her endorsing products from Myra na vitamins, Cream Silk for hair na mga products, you have Dior for cosmetics and even accessories. You have Bulgari for jewelry, and you also have Tiffany and Co. And then you have H&M for apparel. So very tight and very well put together yung image niya, much like Heart is when you see her in Schiaparelli, in Fendi, in Dior, and in other high-end na mga luxury brands. So I think the learning thing here is that know who you are, and then express that through fashion. Dahil if you're not able to communicate who you are clearly, just like how Catriona and how Heart does in terms of their social media na mga feeds, mahihirapan ka to become an effective na fashion influencer. Okay? So, let's now discuss yung mga comments ninyo, dahil alam ko marami na sa inyo ang mga nag-type in ng kanilang mga questions and ng kanilang mga reactions. Okay. Okay, balik tayo doon sa tanong ni Jam Amihan. Can Heart be considered as Paris Hilton of the Philippines, since may similarity ang industry ng family nila, which is hotel and food, at pareho din silang trendsetter, or mas angat si Heart? I don't think there is a comparison between the comparison between the two. I think Paris played the industry by portraying an image of of a dumb blonde. She's not actually dumb. She's actually a smart, intelligent na lady. And I think the difference here is that I think Heart is more true to the core of what a fashion influencer is about, because not only does she live and breathe high fashion, but she is also the market. And I think that is the main difference there. She is very convincing as an influencer, because she is the market. She consumes, and therefore people believe that she is a tastemaker, and that is not something we can actually say true for Paris Hilton. Okay. Sabi ni Joe Mia, I think Catriona is on the low-key side. Based on her post, brands would get her to grace their event, or just as a celebrity, but as a host or guest performer. I think with Kat, because she is so involved with so much things, hindi lang fashion yung nag-ground sa kanya, hindi lang yung mga brands that she endorses on her social media feed that makes her appreciated by a wider set of market, because Kat, aside from being a fashion influencer, she also is still the NCCA, National Commission for the Culture and the Arts na ambassador. She is still active with Love Yourself, PH. She is, still people, even after her Miss World and Miss Universe stints, still, remember her as the beauty queen that brought in attention to young focus. So in terms of yung trajectory ng career ni Kat, I think um, she makes accessibility real and believable, dahil hindi lang luxury yung mga fashion brands that she endorses, but also mga accessible na mga brands like Cream Silk and H&M, that makes her even more attuned doon sa mga uh, lower classes na market. That is why I say na when it comes to her market, Catriona is mainly BC na market, but with a little bit of the A. So captured niya yung small portion of the lower A na class, as well as the B and C. Unlike kay Pia na if you really look at yung mga endorsements niya, whether it's Magnolia Chicken, it's Downy, ganyan, her brand is really fast-moving consumer goods. Okay? Kiisa says, I agree. It seems like Heart is more of the old money clientele, while Pia is nouveau rich or new money na client. And I think, there is a huge debate with the old money versus new money na aesthetic, because old money is your typical Laura Piana, while new money is your Gucci's and your Louis Vuitton. And it's not that it's a disparaging thing for Louis Vuitton and Gucci, but Loro Piana and the likes of brands like Brunello Cucinelli, Bottega Veneta, Hermenegildo Zegna, these are what you call the quiet luxury. These are the stealth wealth brands that I think is very much associated with the people who knew wealth from the time that they were born. And I think yung comparison between how Heart and how Pia is old money versus new money, I think this is a conversation that is largely affected by yung mga taong surrounding them. So I cannot really say for sure kung sino ba talaga sa kanila yung old money or yung new money. Lloydie TG, sabi niya, I agree with you for Pia in cosmetics. Her face is for it. And I think kinakailangan umpisahan na ni Pia if she really wants to be in the fashion influencing game, because at a certain age, makikita na yung kapit ng makeup sa muka, that it will not look as natural. So I think good for Pia for having good genes na hindi siya madaling tumanda yung kanyang face. But if I were her, she should really start now endorsing yung mga cosmetic na mga brands on her feed, because I think that is the pathway for her to gain fame as a fashion influencer. Sabi ni Nasaan ba tayo? Sabi ni Kiisa, Pia should follow Gal Gadot endorsement na path. I'm not sure kung ano yung mga brands that Gal Gadot endorses. However, I think it's really talagang nasa cosmetics talaga yung nakikita kong path for Pia if she wants to go towards the more luxury end of cosmetics. Okay? Jam Amihan says, does it mean hindi good ang pagsali ni Maureen Roblitz sa pageant at pwedeng mahirapan siya for luxury brand? Okay, here's the thing. If you are able to shake off yung association mo with pageantry, you're able to endorse luxury brands, because In the 1980s, if you're not familiar with the name Helena Christensen, she actually competed at Miss Universe for Denmark in around the 1980s. I'm not sure if it was 1985 or it was 1986. Thankfully, she did not win. She did not gain fame when she competed at Miss Universe. However, by the late 1980s, she was already one of the most famous na mga supermodels in the world, alongside the names of Linda Evangelista, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, Christy Brinkley. No, Christy Brinkley, I think earlier pa than 1980s. I think Christy Brinkley started her career at 1979 or 1981. I'm not sure. There, Mark Gonzalez says Helena Christensen competed in Miss Universe 1986. So there is a pathway for pageant girls to to go luxury brand endorsements and what do you call this, and influencer na careers. However, you really need to shake off the association with pageantry because hindi nakakaangat ng personal brand mo that you are always associated with pageantry. And the reason for that is because high fashion is moving 10 years ahead of pageantry. Because in pageants, there is only one silhouette that is acceptable in pageants. And that is the mermaid, body-hugging, figure-hugging type of silhouette. Because in terms of gowns, yun yung what works. And in terms of the type of gown that works in pageants, it's always the shiny, shimmering Miss Colombia type of gowns na tad-tad ng rhinestones, tad-tad ng mga diamante yung kanilang mga gowns. So, that is not pageants. And sometimes that's not high fashion. And sometimes high fashion really takes fashion to the extreme in terms of fabrication, ornamentation, and embellishment. So there is a really wide divide with the fashion that is high fashion versus the fashion that is consumed on pageants. And even yung comparison between Iris Mitine, Miss Universe 2016, when she walked for the haute couture shows of Jean-Paul Gaultier, is so much different from the kind of dresses and gowns that was worn, that Pia worn for the Sherry Hill na shows in New York. Malayong malayo yung craftsmanship and yung level of artistry between Sherry Hill and Jean-Paul Gaultier. And you really need to understand and learn about fashion in order for you to make that comparison. So on my end, hindi madaling sabihin na pagdating sa fashion, pageantry is actually lagging. Dahil malayong malayo yung sphere of artistry and yung design know-how and technical know-how when you are creating an haute couture garment, like for example the recent na Martin Margiela's show of John Galliano is so much technically proficient as compared to the typical pageant gowns that you see at the national level here in the Philippines. So there is really a huge gap between pageants and high fashion. Okay, nasa na ba to? Filet Ome says, do you think Anne is also following the strategy used by Heart? That I am not sure because I haven't been following Anne Curtis and on her socials, but I'll definitely check it out a little bit later. However, if you are going to pattern your strategies based on Heart, you need to find ways to personalize it, to make it your own, to reflect your own personal brand. Even if you are copying someone else's strategy, it needs to be brands that align with you in your ethos when it comes to fashion, because there are avenues and there are opportunities of fashion influencing in the sustainable fashion arena. There is a career in fashion influencing, in the in the thrifting and the do-it-yourself aesthetics, and personalization na aspect of the fashion industry. There are a lot of possibilities that you can go into when it comes to being a fashion influencer. Hindi lang siya nag-end up doon sa luxury na mga brands. And I think there's a lot of areas na pwedeng i-take over ng mga tao nito, ng mga potential na gustong maging fashion influencers if they only do their homework first, find their own personal style, define it, and be clear about it and communicate it in their social media channels. I think that is the more important thing na gawin ng anyone who wants to to follow this career track, kasi hindi madali yung ginagawa ni Heart, because she started way before everybody started thinking that there might be a career in fashion. I think that's it for the questions. Let's now check muna on the what do you call this, on the status of our poll before we conclude yung ating live stream this evening. Okay, as I said earlier, who is your favorite fashion influencer among the three options? Currently, Pia Wurtzbach has 16% of the votes. Catriona Gray has 24%, and an overwhelming majority tells that Heart Evangelista is their favorite, who is now at 60%. Now, okay, let's wrap this up, because I don't want to take this too long to explain. When it comes to the three girls, when it comes to the fashion game and the fashion influencer na mga strategies and mga direction that Catriona, Pia, and Heart is taking on, try not to compete with each other. I think that is the essence of all of this, because if you start your fashion influencing na career sa panunulot ng mga contacts, sa mga underhanded na mga strategies so that you can get ahead, this will not serve you in the long term, because people, especially people in the fashion industry, can smell inauthenticity a mile away. And this is something that I think every industry, especially those who are at the peak of their game in each of the industries, that you can smell, insincerity a mile away. And this is especially true with the luxury brand na game, because they would know if you are a nouveau rich, or you are old money, or you are a pretentious person trying to pass off as one. And ultimately, the best way to create a mark for your career in the fashion industry is to always be authentic. When Heart mentioned in her interviews that being genuine, being true to who you are, as the cornerstone of any advice that she can give for anyone who wants to have a potential career as an influencer for fashion, the moment that she mentioned authenticity and being genuine and being true to yourself, that means that you need to focus on who you are, what is your personal brand, what is your personal style, and learn how to communicate that without having to compete with everybody else or somebody else in the industry. You don't piggyback on somebody else's success as well, because it will not bring you to the peak of your career, because you will always be second best, because you are being measured on somebody else's standard that is not your own. So dito pumapasok yung Alam mo kung sino ka, alam mo kung ano yung personal brand mo, what you stand for. Are you a goth girl? Are you a luxury girl? Are you a kikay girl? Or do you advocate for, sustainable fashion? These are the things that would define your career, and you should define for yourself if this is who you are as a influencer and as a person. And live by that code of conduct. Live by it. Dahil if you don't know your personal brand, no matter how expensive your clothes are, no matter how many people who follow you, they will see that this is a fake when you fake it. Dahil you cannot sustain being fake 24/7, 365 days a year. So I think Heart was really nailing it on the head when she said that be true to yourself. Dahil being true to yourself means that you know who you are, you know what is your personal brand and personal style, you know your values, and you use those three as a compass to where do you want to lead your career in the future. So I think overall, this conversation is an eye opener for every one of us, because there is a opportunity for pageant girls, to have a career as an influencer in the fashion field, only if you define who you are, you know who you are, and you are, you work hard to communicate that, and you work hard um, to develop yung personal brand mo. Okay? There is no easy, quick fixes to become famous. And as they say, if you are a fly in the pan na kind of success, nandito ngayon, bukas makalawa, wala na. And the mark of a true fashion influencer is longevity and effectiveness. Dahil ultimately, after all of this are done, fashion should be fun, fashion should be personal, and fashion should be something that is true to yourself. That you don't put up fashion simply because you want to create an image. You have to be who you represent in your clothes. Okay? So, some final thoughts here. Jam Amihan says, I now realize kung bakit madalang o halos walang high fashion gown sa pageantry. Nagets ko na bakit ang hirap mag-risk ng gown design sa pageantry. Thanks for this. So there. I hope everyone, you understood a little bit more about fashion. You understood a little bit more about the entire fashion game and the fashion influencing na business, because this is not a industry that is easy to just pick up a career on. There is lots of sweat and hard work, despite all of the glamour that you see. This is about truly investing time, money, effort, and you have to sacrifice things in order to achieve your goal, especially in the fashion industry. Last na comment from Lemuel Tayag, sabi niya, hello Sir Jason, tonight a new batch of Sabrana will represent. Okay, Lemuel, saka na natin pag-uusapan yan. I think that's a very off topic for today's live stream. We will be having a Miss Universe Philippines related na content, a little bit. Oh, no, next week na. Tama. Okay, so we will be having an NUPH content where you can, tell your hearts out on the people and the ladies that you support for that. But that is going to be for next week's live stream. So for now, thank you very much for everyone who was here from the very beginning and watched this entire lecture of sorts when it comes to the fashion industry. Thank you very much for allowing me to talk about something that I am a part of as an industry, as an educator, and as a fashion practitioner. And thank you very much as well for listening. So thank you for all the support. I hope that before we end, you leave a like in our live stream and subscribe to our channel for more related content. Okay, bye everyone, and see you next week. Have a great weekend ahead, and see you in our next live stream. Bye everyone. Okay.